All right, everybody, welcome back to the channel, the main event here. And today we're going to be talking about the Latin American International Championships that just concluded this past Sunday. That was won by Marco Silva. Also a special shout out to his little brother, Pietro Silva, who won seniors division. Shout out to the family sweeping the event. But question of the day, will Charizard ever win Worlds? And obviously the question of the day is about Charizard because Marco won with a Charizard Sun Tail Room team. This team is really like fun to like watch play a lot of the time, especially with Marco piloting it. We're gonna take a look at the actual like components of the team here as well. So it's a standard like Ursaluna with Guts and like Flame Orb to take advantage of both the tail and the room, right? Pause. It has the Tailwind mode with Jump Fluff and also has the Trick Room mode with Porygon, right? So he has both forms of speed control essentially. So I would assume that this is like a middling speed set of EVs. Like there's a few enough to outspeed certain things, but then if you notice the opponent's team is just way faster, it could even be max speed, right? To outspeed everything in Tailwind, or as much as you can. And then you just use Trick Room in the event that their opponent's team is just too fast anyway. You can use the Trick Room mode. Obviously you have the Torque Hole as well. But yeah, standard Ursaluna set. The Jump Fluff is a little bit different because it doesn't have any attacking moves, right? So no Leaf Storm here, like a lot of them tend to run. Clover Cloak, Terra Water to resist fire and to resist ice. Sleep Powder, standard, Tailwind, and Rage Powder are the standard set. This one has Sunny Day though for an extra sun mode in case your Torque Hole either is lost or you have to worry about them switching in rain. It gives you another way to get this up. And Jump Up is still very fast even before Chlorophyll and Tailwind, right? So chances are if your opponent switches in rain, you can still just click Sunny Day and get the sun up and you're in a good shape. The Charizard is standard in its moves. It has Heat Wave, Overheat, Weather Ball, Air Slash. So it's the Terra type that kind of makes it really go though, because Terra type Ghost just prevents all the fake out stuff, because usually with Spec Zard and Scarf Zard, the issue is that it just gets faked out and then killed by something, right? So sacrificing some of the power that you would normally have for more reliability I think is a really good call. You can always guarantee that you get off an attack for the most part, especially if you have a Tailwind up. Not to mention, if you can't kill things in one hit with Heat Wave, you have stuff like Helping Hand to help increase the damage. You have the Rage Powder to keep the Charizard alive even further. You also have the Sleep Powder to put things to sleep to get stuff extra turn. So there's a lot of ways for the Charizard to really get going. And Charizard was kind of the star of finals. It clicked like a Weather Ball in Sun versus an AVR Charizard and just one shot it. It was actually kind of insane to see. Most people knew it would kill, but like it was just an insane call because Heat Wave would not have killed, and then like Victor protected the Ursaluna to try to go for Snarl. It was a crazy turn. He also has Overheat because Overheat is just really strong and doesn't require any recharge like Blast Burn, so it's the strongest non-recharge move of Charizard, I guess, I'm pretty sure. So just for like things that are really out of reach on KOs and the other stuff, you just click Overheat. Also, Weather Ball gives Charizard options in other weathers, right? There was a turn where he clicked Helping Hand, Helping Hand, Weather Ball in rain into like Ursaluna with choice specs to just kill the Ursaluna, even though it teared out of the water weakness. So it's actually kind of wild. It's actually kind of wild how strong and there's no solar power because the sun was off. So Charizard is just really strong, I guess. The Torque Hole is the standard Torque Hole set you see on this specific kind of team with the eject pack. So you can lead the Torque Hole, you can click you get the Jump Fluff is fast, you get the Torque Hole on, click the Overheat, you eject packed out, and then you switch into Charizard. Potentially most of the time it's Charizard, unless Ursaluna looks better for you there, then you switch into Ursaluna. That's how that part of the team works. And then the Ensign, standard Ensign, but no goggles. And I was like, you know what? It makes sense that he doesn't have goggles, right? Because one, he has 3 fire types. 2, he has the sun to boost up those fire types. And he has a Mon that's already like, he has a grass type that's immune to Spore. He has Ursaluna, which once the Flame Orb is up is immune to Spore. So he's in really good like shape overall against Amoonguss. So I could see why he didn't run the goggles or like even like a Terra Grass on the team at all. He has the tools to kind of get around that. Even like download Ice Beam, which is really, really good. The Incineroar though is like pretty standard fake out, Flare Blitz, knockoff, Parting Shot, and Citrus Berry used to be his best item before goggles. This helps the Trick Room mode, obviously, because you have it with the Porygon 2, you have it with the Torque Hole, you have it with your Ursaluna. He has your pivot, you have your board control. So you also make the Porygon even more bulky because he intimidates. So it just makes it work. And obviously the Porygon 2 standard Trick Room stuff, Terra Blast fighting for those King Gambits and those steel types, even though King Gambit is the big one, because yeah, King Gambit is the big one that the Terra fighting really blows up. So yeah, his team is really fun. It's actually really funny as well though, because if you go over here, I have it set to show other Charizards in the tournament, right? the actual team is just, it doesn't, I don't know if it's just like, it just doesn't function the same way when Marco's not the one piloting it, but it doesn't function the same way when Marco's not piloting it. Or even Charizard itself, right? Like I like Charizard, but like it just doesn't function the same way when it's not Marco. So like, for example, the next highest placing Charizard is 140th place. That's the next highest placing Charizard at 5'3", which is really good at internets, right? So shout out to this player, Paul Castro. So how am I going to pronounce that? 5'3" Brazilian player. But after that, it was the Charizard Trick Room team that came in the next 3 spots. Actually, even 4 if you want to count this one. But Charizard Trick Room teams went about even. So still, that's very respectable internets. But again, 14-1 versus 5-3, 4-4, 4-4, 4-4, 4-4, 4-4, 4-4, 3-5, 3-5. Like this person had the exact same team that won the tournament and then went 3-5, right? Another one, exact same team that won the tournament, 3-5. So like, it's just, Marco is just an amazing pilot of the team compared to everyone else. Like I don't think this is a team that like anyone could just pick up and run, right? Like usually when a team wins a big tournament like this, the first thing you have to think about is like people on ladder picking it up, and then also the team popping up at the next tournament. But I just don't know how much of a threat the actual team is in the hands of people who are not Marco. I'm pretty sure there's at least 1 or 2 top players who probably can make it work, but will they want to, right? Will they want to run Jump Pluff, Heat Wave, Overheat, all these inaccurate moves and stuff like that and play those kind of games? Do they want to play into the rain matchups? Do they want to do those things? Probably not, is my guess, right? I could be wrong, but that's just what my gut is telling me. Also, shout out to Ladmouse for letting you type in Pokemon names and just searching all the teams that it pops up with, so you can see the stuff here. See, like Joe Ugarte also used Jump Bluff, but he didn't use Charizard. He used Typhlosion. Typhlosion is probably a little bit more consistent for like most players, and obviously not for Marco because he won. But like with the natural ghost typing, Shadow Ball is much more reliable. Also has access to Eruption. It's just much more consistent overall for most people to pilot. But again, Marco was just on another level during this tournament. He just loves playing in LAIC. If we go back to the teams, I just want to take a question. No, yeah, we're already here. We're gonna take a quick look at just like the top 8 teams. Actually, let's click it. 8, just to cut everything off. Another thing that mouse allows us to do. You click 8, you just get rid of it. So if we go here to the top 8, some of the things that I've seen is that Rillaboom is still kind of like thriving on all the teams. Like its usage, we're gonna check the usage stats in a while, in a minute. But Rillaboom is obviously still really good for a lot of teams. Common trend is that it's like on these Dragonite teams. Now obviously Dragonite doesn't get the terrain boost, the terrain healing, but they also like the Terra a lot, right? So you can kind of like get the grass to help get your multi-skill back up, which I think is like really neat. And then a lot of these teams that maybe still want Fake Out, but not necessarily always want to run an Incineroar, because they have a fire type of team. So like you see the Volcarona teams tend to run Rillaboom next to them. So this Volcarona team has the Rillaboom. This Volcarona team has the Rillaboom over like an Incineroar as well. So because they want to run like Fake Out and maybe pivoting, but I guess this might actually be what's it called, high horsepower. Yeah, a lot of them tend to be running the high horsepower. Now shout out to Ashton Cox as well for getting in 3rd after having a long break and being a 2-time international champion himself, trying to win that 3rd. Didn't quite make it, but I'm sure he'll be back. I think he even said something about wanting to win the UIC and NAIC to pass Marco again, which is kind of funny. Incineroar also did very well, 1, 2, 3 in the top 8, and then won the whole tournament as well. The Ursa Luna being on both championship teams, I think is something that people need to look out for, especially because these are both like the teams that have the Tailwind and Trick Room option, because the Dragonite has Tailwind and the Sinistcha has Trick Room, right? Yeah. So the Ursa Luna being able to play under both speeds, that is something I think people might actually pick up on and try to run. That is something that I think that is actually worth looking at going into like the next couple of tournaments, Sacramento, Toronto, whichever overseas tournaments there are. That's something I think that people really should be looking at, or at least prepared to deal with. Goldango all over the top 8 as well. Goldango. Just a good Pokemon. Gambit should also be here. I'm actually surprised that I only see the one Gambit in top 8. Gambit just seems so strong. So while we're here, then let's actually go and take a look at the top Pokemon. So obviously this is the top Pokemon of the tournament as far as usage. This is just overall usage. Tournament had about 450 players, a little bit less than that, but 450 is a nice round number. Sneasler at 45%, not surprising. It's just how it is. It's just going to always be that for the remainder of this format. 51% win rate as well. Rillaboom, 37%. Nothing to sneeze at. That's really high. Goldengo at 32, Dragonite at 32. Incineroar back up over 30%. It was like 25% for the last couple of tournaments, something like that. So it's kind of nice to see the King back up at 32. This is what I mean, right? King Gambit was at 29%, so basically 30%, even though it was a little bit lower than I remember it being. As far as like the standing, I thought it was like higher. But like for it to only have the 1 in top 8 is kind of troubling in my opinion. I wonder if that has anything to do with like the Ursalunas, and like the maybe the Komodo and the Ursalunas. What else could stop Gambit besides like Sneasler? That's kind of odd, right? That it's just not in the top 8. Something that you'll see that's not here, because you look at this, Dragonite is the most used dragon. Then our Chaladon, second most. Garchomp is third. Like Garchomp is like a lot lower than it usually is. Usually it's like Garchomp was dominating early Reg Age tournaments, right? Doing really, really well. Now it's kind of falling off just a little bit. PokeMaineEvent also like not as high as it once was on the balance teams, even though the balance compositions, if I click over here to the right, you see they've even changed, right? The balance comp has changed. This used to be like the original one with PokeMaineEvent, but that's down to 2%. Now they've been replaced by the Volcarona version, and with Gambit, which is, again, this is odd that it's only 1 in top 8, but it's been replaced by Volcarona because like the setup Volk is a little bit stronger than like PokeMaineEvent is normally. And you get like speed, whereas PokeMaineEvent just kind of has to take those hits, which is kind of a bit annoying. PokeMaineEvent is just not as good right now, and at least in my opinion. Rain is still doing well. Our Chaladon, Magic Legion, Pelipper, 19 usage still, even though people just don't talk about Rain that much. It still just comes around, sneaks around somehow under the radar and just gets results. Blood Moon Ursaluna is higher than I think it's usually been. Like 15% is pretty high for Blood Moon comparison. And like I said, both Ursalunas are top 15 in the tournament, which is like not surprising, but not expected as well. I actually want to go, before I go to the top 65, I just want to take a look at the day 1 standings just to see. We always go down to the bottom to see if there's anything like random that pops up, because sometimes people always bring something random. Like Weavile is kind of random, but five Weaviles is interesting as heck. Shout out to the Glide scores. I know the Glide scores. I know at least 2 of them. Shout out to Joe Kwan, shout out to Lorenzo Ars. Both of them guys made day 2 with the Glide score. Shout out to them. 54% win rate on a Pokemon that was only on 4 teams. They was whooping people. Shout out to them. Shout out to my guys. Oh, 2 Gengars, Weezing, a Smeargle, or 2 Smeargles, 1 Snorlax team. I think that guy made day 2. He made it on stream. It was like Belly Drum, Custap Berry, Rock Slide, Terra Rock, was it? Was it Terra Rock? Let's find out. Belly Drum, Body Slam, Earthquake, Rock Slide, Custap Berry, Terra Rock. Yep. We saw him on stream. So shout out to him being the only Snorlax player and getting Snorlax on stream. That's really, really cool. That's got to be like really a really good memory for him. All right. Let's go ahead and go back up. So yeah, top 65, I click it, gives me the top 65. Reason we're doing top 65 is because 65 is the cutoff for day 2. So now we get to see the day 2 usage overall, right? So Sneasler was 49%. Incineroar jumped up and overtook everyone and went to 2nd place. Goldengo is in 3rd. Rillaboom dropped a little bit because it was at 2nd place, but it came down. But now it's at like 41%. So usage went up, even though its placement went down. Just instant usage went way sky high in day 2, and so did Goldengos. Again, we're like Gambit down here at 10. I wonder I have to talk to some people to find out why they think Gambit is down. Ursaluna Blood Moon shooting up at the top 10 after being in 12th. Previous screen. Regular Ursaluna dropped a few spots, but still, I don't know how much that matters when it was on both finalist teams. But the Blood Moon shooting up is something that's interesting to me for sure. Arch and Pelipper both went up a couple spots because Rain is just really strong. Gambit being in the top 10 is still good for it, but again, it was just like, it seems to be falling down a little bit. I'm not exactly sure why. The Ape popping up is, you kind of just always got to have answers to Ape on your team. So like when you don't, things like this happen, right? Shoots back up and has a lot of success. Like 55% win rate for the Ape is actually really strong. If you look at all these win rates here, 47, 46, 43, good win rates. 57 for D-Knight is actually insane. We're actually gonna look at D-Knight in a second. But 55%, 56%, yeah, like that's actually really strong. The Dozos, let's actually look at this in the day 1. If you look here, Dozo is 7, and the next Pokemon is not Tatsugiri. Tatsugiri is down at 2 for this, right? Actually, let me just go back one. You hit enter. And go back into the Pokemon. Yeah, Dondozo was at 7%, 36 Dondozos in the tournament, but only 19 Tatsugiri. So 17 people went with Solo Dozo. Because Solo Dozo was just like really useful. Not having to have a, sometimes Tatsu is just a dead slot. Like boosted Dozo is really strong. But again, once people get through it, in those tournaments where people are just super indexed on stopping the Dondozo and having a Dondozo matchup, Tatsu is really a dead slot sometimes. So I think that's why the Solo Dozo index is really increasing, because you still get the unaware stuff. So like you still ignore other stat increases. You get some of the benefits of Dozo with a little bit less of the drawback. You don't get all the benefits that you get with Tatsu, but you get none of the drawbacks that you get with Tatsu as well, right? Again, you can put a way stronger Pokemon in that spot than Tatsugiri. But let's go back to 65. What was I looking at before the Dozo? Oh, Dragonite. So Dragonite, Scale Shot is on every single Dragonite. Multi-scale is on most of them. Oh, never mind. On all the day 2 ones, multi-scale was. So now that makes me want to go back. I'm sorry for jumping around, because multi-scale is 100% of the day 2 ones. Now I need to see what the breakdown is for day 1 Dragonites. Okay, so not a okay, that's interesting. So 128 multi-scales on day 1, 19 inner focus, and not a single inner focus Dragonite made day 2. Talking to some guys, one of my guys, Mateen specifically, he said that he feel like multi-scales is a bait and inner focus is way better. And I was kind of inclined to agree, but like just looking at these results, not a single inner focus D-Knight made day 2, and that could be like player issue, comp issue, or whatever it was, but like for whatever reason, not a single inner focus one made day 2, and all the multi-scales ones did. But yeah, the moves that it's running is Scale Shot, Protect, Haze primarily. Usually these two are there. Haze is there most of the time because it just helps with the Dozo matchup and other stat boosts like Gambit and stuff. Because Scale Shot, getting a +1 speed and then hazing off someone else's boost and hazing away your defense drops is just kind of interesting. It's nice. Extreme Speed is running a lot of them. Tailwind is running a lot of them. Stomping on some Ice Spinner, but most of them are going to be running Scale Shot and Protect and Haze. I think in finals, Victor's had Scale Shot, Protect, Haze, Extreme Speed, so he couldn't win any 1v1s versus fairy types, but obviously he made finals, so he didn't have a problem with that as well. If you look at the teammates, the percentage is what, 60% though, because you got to be able to hit those fairy types. This one hits the steel types, right? So you got to be able to handle those things that make Scale Shot Dragonite's life hard. But Scale Shot Dragonite seems to be the premier Dragonite right now, and the premier Dragon type, because not only was the #1 Dragon on day 1, but it's the #1 Dragon on day 2 as well. I just want to do 128 because it just shows points. We're not going to spend too much time on this. So these Pokemon scored points. Let me see who else scored points. Anything obscure that a Tyranitar scored points. Tatsugiri and Dozo. Komodo obviously scored points. Hisui and Hisui Arcanine would have pop up. Regular Arcanine was on. Who was it that used Arcanine? It was someone prominent that used regular Arcanines. Can't remember who it was. I remember seeing them post about it. I'm not sure. two Glide scores in the top 128 are again my two homies, Joe and Lorenzo. They are the 2 Glide scores who made it. I know that for sure. So yeah, that was top 65. Oh wait, hold on, because top 64 is top 64 points. So 65 people made day 2, and then there was like one person who bubbled out, and I kind of want to see who that is, because obviously you don't get the top. So show me 65. Hold on, wait, no, show me 65. So all the day 2 teams that made it are going to get top 64 points except one guy, and it was this guy. Oh, my guy Joe, he made the cut. So he did not, he was not the one that bubbled down. So I do feel bad for this guy, because like top 64 points and top 68 and top 128 points are like there's a pretty substantial gap there. So he makes day 2, but like everyone gets that except you. So it's like, dang, that's kind of rough. But shout out to making day 2 anyway, right? Like that's nothing to sneeze at an international event. But yeah, so shout out to that person still. I just wanted to go and take a look at that. In the top 16. Oh, so Dragonite was the #1 Pokemon in top 16. Because after they do like all the top cut stuff, all the day 2 Swiss stuff, they go down the top, they go into top 16. All the asymmetrical touch stuff, they go into top 16. So Goldengo and Dragonite dominated that. Actually Sneasel was not the most prominent top 16 Pokemon. It was Dragonite and Dango, who are paired up together very often, so that kind of makes sense to me. And Sin's also part of that team. Actually, if I go to the 6 here, Dragonite, Goldengo, Incin, right? You see that this group is the most high this is the most popular top 16 composition of this tournament, at least. So the ape is here. Yes, that actually makes a ton of sense to me. Go to the top 8, and it's a little bit more of the same composition in the top 8. So this team actually just must have just done really well. Let me go in and see the top 16. Yeah, we looked at the top 8 already. So if we expand it, yeah, let the buzzes everywhere. Rillaboom, Goldengo, Leonite, yeah, they're all here. Top 4. Go back to the Pokemon. Goldengo. Oh, so you see Dragonite fell out a little bit. It was only 1 in top 4. 1 in top 4, and there's the one that made finals. Yeah, it was the one that made finals. But still, Dragonite, very impressive showing this tournament. Goldengo, 2 in top 4. A 1 on the finals, 1 in the finals as well. Ursaluna on both finals teams. Rillaboom on, was it 1 finals team? Oh no, he didn't make finals. Okay. Sinistcha was on, yeah, that was Victor's grass type. Sinistcha. Pelipper was on his team. Dragonite was on his team. Charizard was on his team. Porygon was on Marco's team. All right. Yeah. So yeah. But yeah, other than that, I'm kind of at the end of the video and just rambling and just going over stuff after we've gone through all the memes and information. I'm actually gonna cut it here because we've gone through the whole tournament. So let me know what you guys thought of the LAIC tournament. Did you watch the stream? Did you enjoy it? Did you have fun? We'll charge out everyone in the World Championships. Also, since you guys are still here, in the bio, my Blue Sky account, my Twitter, go follow those. Discord there, hop in, say hi. Not super active, but I think as we get more people to get more active, don't forget to become a member. If you want me to if you want to submit teams, I'll review them. I'll try to fix them, improve them. I'll edit them, as well as you get the cool Dingo badge by your name. Not to mention, like I said, once we get to a certain number of members, I'll start doing some additional side content for you guys, just fun stuff for you guys to enjoy. Otherwise, thank you guys for being here. Click like for your boy, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you guys in the next video.